thought this movie was Alien vs. Predator Requiem. I actually thought that this was the only Alien vs. Predator that there was. Come to find out, oh wow, there's another Alien vs. Predator after this. So, this is the one I watched, and this was the first one that a lot of people actually hated, but I actually really, really liked. In Antarctica in 1904, a man at a whaling station is running for his life, and he's attacked by something. But before it can attack him, a xenomorph comes out and attacks it. We know that this thing is the Yautja, and from way back then, the xenomorphs and the Yautja were fighting.
Alien versus Predator. Stop being weird.
Skip all the way to 2004, October 3rd. So about 100 years later, a team that's working for Weyland Industries sees a heat signature, an island off the coast of Antarctica, and they call in Alexa to help. Weyland's guy is waiting for her at the top of her cliff that she just climbed. The Italian guy is also recruited. He's not exactly having any luck with his dig, and the only thing he ends up getting is an antique Pepsi-Cola bottle, or Pepsi, yeah, Pepsi-Cola, that's what it's called. So wait, Pepsi and Cola were the same company? I'm gonna have to look that up afterwards, but that's interesting. Now they're like competitors. Huh. You guys started off as friends. How unfortunate. So Weyland is a big shot, as he always is in these alien movies, and Lex is befriended by this very sweet guy who's very friendly and wants to take a picture of everything for his boys. I actually like his character so much, and you do kind of like some of the characters. You don't want anything to happen to them, and he is one of the characters that I feel the worst for. If he's afraid, I'm just paranoid that anything's gonna happen to him. Anyway, they all get there. This girl looks very familiar, almost like she was in another alien movie. This guy does not like scientists. Weyland's like, we're gonna make history, you guys. But Alexa doesn't want to go. She says, look, there's not a lot of time that we have to train these people. You want to get this over with now. A lot of people are gonna die. So when she's like, I'm out, they're like, okay, we'll pay you, because they decide to pay them by taking them away and coming out anyway. But Lex feels bad because she's like, if they hire someone else, and she just found out what the name of that person is going to send these people to their deaths. She knows in her heart that she is the best person for the job, and that he shouldn't be doing this. Weyland's gonna Weyland. Hours before her helicopter is ready to pick her up, the Italian guy and the scientist guy really don't want her to go. She decides to go anyway, because they claim that they would do better surviving with her than surviving with someone else. She also finds out that Weyland is terminally ill, but he really wants this. He knows that there's a pyramid of some sort buried deep under this area. Scientist guy is feeling spooked. While they're there, they find a freshly built tunnel in this area. Huh, that's weird. Were there any other teams here? Why is this perfectly drilled tunnel going all the way down, and who made it? Of course, they decide to explore, because it leads straight to the pyramid. Of course, disaster kind of happens, and Weyland almost loses his life. Oh no, if you fall straight down, you could fall literally to your death. But good thing that Alexa is there to save him, because she catches him in the nick of time in the oddest and most dangerous way possible. What is she, Lara Croft? Aimed a little bit too close there. That was freaking weird. I mean, the hand-eye coordination has to be out of this world for her to make a thing like that. Lucky break, right? Well, it was either a pickaxe through your face or sudden death. While they're doing that, unbeknownst to them, a predator ship is arriving. It drops 3 of their people. Apparently, there's a queen xenomorph locked under this pyramid, and something activates, and as she starts to thaw, when the electricity gives her some life, she immediately starts making eggs, which is probably what the oncomers want. Of course, knowing what we know about Predator and Yautja lore, this is probably some kind of initiation for the young Yautja to become warriors and to prove themselves by facing off against a very dangerous opponent that they claim to be on their level, or somewhat very difficult to fight. Honestly, I never understood how humans make that cut, because compared to a xenomorph, you know, like not really that much of a competition. Anyway, they figured that the Aztecs and the 2 other cultures that are completely separate from each other must have worshipped these things, because their writing is on the same pyramid. They still don't exactly know what these things are. So the team members start getting picked off by the Yautja. The team in the pyramid find these strange areas where humans are mummified, and it looks as though something broke out of their chests. This place is called the Sacrificial Chamber, and no way in hell would I be in some place like this. No thank you. There's also a room filled with human skulls and spines, and as they're checking it out, a freaking face hugger falls down out of the freaking ceiling. I would have lost I would have lost every skin cell in my body. Just, no. Don't care if it's dead or not. That's freaking creepy.
Looks like some kind of scorpion.
Scorpion is one way to put it. The queen alien is now fully thawed out, and she's laying eggs. She's being forced to lay eggs as fast as possible. Here's some consistency error. This guy is moving, and he's like, okay, I'm staying as still as possible. But yet, this guy still sees him. Aren't they supposed to be blind to things that are cold? You know, but all of a sudden, this Yao just sees him even though his body temperature is freaking cold. There's like no heat left in this guy. You can see the Thor Odinson freaking frostbite all over his mouth and his freaking face. He literally has a film of ice on his skin, but yet somehow the Yaoja can see him. You're probably thinking, oh, it's because he had movement. Movement where? He was barely moving. Anyway, poor soul, he dies.
With him, keep a team with you. Catalog everything.
So we know people are going to start dying left and right. It's only a matter of time before that happens. And as they open something they're not supposed to open that opens every 100 years, they find Yaoja weapons, but they're not really sure what they are. The Yaoja know that they now have activated their weapons, and they have to make a run for it to hurry up and get their guns. The Italian guy tries to stop the others from taking the guns, and by doing this, or the blasters or whatever you call them, but by doing this, they activate the pyramid. Now it's challenging, and all the doors and stuff are closing. The group gets separated, and what do you know? Freaking eggs, xenomorph eggs, start appearing, and of course we know what happens next. Unlike the people who willingly sacrificed themselves many hundreds and hundreds upon hundreds of years ago, maybe thousands, these people are not prepared to sacrifice themselves. I really like that scene. I remember that scene, and that's like one of the only scenes out of this whole movie that I remember fondly because of the slow motion thing that they do and the way that all the face huggers knew exactly who they were going to attack. Almost like they're a hive mind, which they are. So yeah, that's not too surprising. The xenomorph hatches out of these people, and the Yaoja now know that they have their worst enemy on their hands. That doesn't stop them from trying to attack the humans. The humans try to survive while the pyramid shifts every 10 minutes, essentially making this place a maze. More people start to get separated and picked off by the alien xenomorph or the Yaojas. Understand that these people have seen these things for the first time and they have no idea what the hell is going on. I feel so bad for them.
Want a piece of me? You ugly son of a bitch! Clever girl.
I honestly feel so bad for that guy. I feel like he did not deserve that death, and I think the Yaoja killed him, honestly, out of mercy, which doesn't make sense because they're not really merciful at all, but then they do show that sometimes they are merciful. I have no idea, but that guy, he was saved from being quartered and diced. The Yaoja's like, bitch, get away from me, and that's when a xenomorph kills one of the Yaoja before it can kill Lex. The other Yaoja sees it and he's like, oh hell no, and then a cool Godzilla versus Kong sort of brawl starts happening, and honestly, this was my favorite part of the whole movie, just seeing these creatures battle it out, because this movie is called Alien vs. Predator after all. It's so cool seeing them on the same screen. I mean, I was more excited for the Xenomorph. This was before I even knew what the Predator really was. I'd never watched the movies for a long time, so I was Team Xenomorph all the way, and then this is the first movie that I watched that made me actually like the Predator. I think this was the first Predator movie I actually watched, and then I was like, oh, cool. I like the Predator now. I used to hate him because he looks stupid like someone in a suit, but he looks cool now. Honestly, seeing the fight between the Xenomorph and the Predator was so freaking satisfying because the Xenomorph is a badass. Just looking at its intelligence as it is fighting the Predator is something that just stuck in my mind. It was so beautiful. It used its blood as a weapon. I mean, seeing the Predator pick off the humans is not as satisfying because it's like, okay, it's not even scary. Now the Predator's just being an asshole because these things clearly are not strong enough, and then they have to nerf the Predator in the movies for him to even beat the humans. But clearly, the Xenomorph doesn't need any nerfing, it's pulling its own weight. I love how the Predator is, like, looking for the Xenomorph, like, where the frick did he go? It's like, you can tell that these things are not, they definitely are nowhere near. I mean, without all the technology, the xenomorphs just using their biology can beat these creatures kind of easy. Like, they're basically on the same level each other. And the xenomorph's more badass because it's not using any technology. It's just using its nakedness. This xenomorph is clearly one of the smarter, more stealthy ones. And I call him Dice because he's such a great fighter. He ends up killing this predator, and then he does his triumph roar. So freaking badass. Weyland is too sick. He is coughing. He can't breathe. And he said basically, look, just leave me. I'm going to slow you down, which is very interesting coming from him. And he dies in the scene, sacrificing himself. Kind of reminiscent of the first movie, you know, when that Native American guy, or who was supposed to be the tracker, did the same thing. Oh no, are they taking beats from the first movie? Oh yes, they are. One thing that confuses me though, the predator comes for him and sees that he's sick and terminally ill and doesn't want to fight him until he blows like a flamethrower on his back. Then he just kills him out of annoyance. But if Weyland dies, how do we see him again, like 174 years later in Alien 3? Unless I'm missing something or I'm really bad at following timelines, I know this takes place in 2004.
Let me have it. It's a magnificent specimen.
But there he is again in 2174, so I am confused. He's the one who made Bishop, but Weyland was... what? But then we have Peter Weyland in the Alien Covenant and Prometheus movies, and he founded the Weyland Corps in 2089. He was clearly young. Like, I'm so confused. Are these clones, or these people who are just related to each other and call themselves the same thing over and over again? Because I need someone to actually explain this to me. I legitimately am confused. Even if he did not die in the scene, he would have had to have lived for over, like, 200 years for it to make sense. Never mind, whatever. Explain it in the comments if you guys know what the heck is going on, because I even tried to look at some of the video game lore, and that made me more confused. Lex and Sebastian, the Italian guy, try hard to survive the Yautja coming after them. It's so cool how this Yautja does not even see the xenomorph up there, because I didn't see it at first either. Then the facehugger is trying to kill them from at every turn. The xenomorph... I just love how they become part of their environment. Unfortunately for this xenomorph, this Yautja is a little bit too smart for him, and he slices his head right open. Honestly, I'm rooting for this predator because he's such a badass. Nice. Sebastian and Lex watch the Yautja through one of the slits. As he marks himself with the acid blood of the fallen xenomorph, or rather the facehugger. Marking himself with the blood of his prey basically gives him a rite of passage. People can see that, like, yeah, I killed someone. They have to rely on honor in this, but I think the elders are also watching, because in the previous movies, you'll see the elders, they were invisible the whole time, and so was their ship. And then at the last moment, when everyone is done their little quest, then the elders will make themselves known. Shown that, I would have been okay with that. And I could have sworn that when I first saw this movie, that scene was not in there. We just saw when he took off his mask, and we didn't see a face hugger or anything. We just saw him doing whatever as he took off his mask. And then it cut to the other scene. But now I'm having some serious Mandela effect vibes, because it looks as though the face hugger is like, oh, now we know for certain this guy is carrying something inside of him, a chest burster inside of him, which is like, why would you even put that in there? I don't remember that being in the movie when I first saw it. I honest to God do not. But then even still, why would you put that scene in there? It makes no sense. It basically tells the audience the gotcha, which you're supposed to just show them later as the gotcha. So, I don't know, it was just very unsatisfying. Lex is like, okay, well, since this is an initiation thing, these guys are teenagers, they're just trying to make their way in the world and become warriors, we should help them, because there's these other things with melon heads that are trying to kill us, so if we give the blasters to the hunters, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, you know, maybe they'll love us. Sebastian, reading the hieroglyphics, tells the entire story of the Yautja, and that they were revered as gods, and people would willingly sacrifice themselves in honor of the gods. So these people got face-hugged on purpose, knowing what was going to happen, so they could honor the gods when they came back. Then they would have their little initiations. And tell me this scene does not look like the end portion of the one with Jet Li. I mean, look at this. Now look at the ending scene with the one, Jet Li. He's banished to that planet.
I am Eula. I'm nobody's bitch.
Man, I miss Jet Li. I heard that he's like really hard to work with or something because he's full of himself. But man, he was freaking hot, man. I remember like I watched all these movies a few years ago that I didn't even know he was in. He was in one romance movie with Aaliyah apparently. And damn, Jet Li, man. Love Jet Li. It's so sad you don't see him anymore. But this ending scene was freaking fire, man. I don't remember much about the movie. I remember there was a good version of Jet Li fighting himself. Like, the highest vanity project ever. And then the bad one, who was kind of a badass that was banished to this planet, he was actually a really good fighter. He's fighting off all these people. So he's at the top of his pyramid thing as all these things are climbing, or these people are climbing to the top to take him out, or to turn him out, if you know what I mean, Anyway, just reminded me of that whole zoom out thing. I mean, it's almost shot for shot. Anyways, one thing they do is so that they can clear out the area, they detonate some kind of bomb that wipes out all the technology that they had there, just basically resets the whole place. It's like alien bleach, essentially, which again, very inconsistent because, you know, these movies, every one that I've seen with the Predator, they don't really do that all the time. They leave their stuff behind. Hence why humans end up having them. Poor scientist guy. I was really rooting for him. And even though I watched this before, I didn't remember if he made it out or not. I know that something happened to him because in the end, it was just Alexa and the Predator. But in the nick of time, he's like, oh, sucks to be you, nasty freaking... Ugh. He just empties his magazine and, unfortunately, finds out that there's a room full of them. He tries shooting all of them, but I honestly would have just shot myself in the head. Sebastian and Lex are still trying to hang in there, but as Sebastian is trying to help her, he gets caught by a xenomorph. Unfortunately, the only thing she has left of him is his Pepsi Cola cap. The Predator finds Lex alone. And honestly, I don't know if this would have worked on anybody else if they tried this. Maybe it's because she's a woman or something, but she actually gets him to stop attacking her long enough for her to tell him something, which is freaking great.
Wait, please wait. The enemy is my friend.
It's either because this Yaoja is really young and inexperienced, but that should not have worked. But he obviously is a lot more tender-hearted than the others. The others are stone-cold, hard warriors, but he is the kind of one who seems more inquisitive than the others. He's the one who also carved the symbol into his face, the swoop, swoop. That's how we can identify him, and he also has that same marking on his actual skin. Back then, I didn't know what this meant, and it looks like the letter T in English, so I just called him Teddy. Pretty sure there's some fan fictions on this, you know what I mean? You don't know what I mean, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I mean what I mean. Whatever. So anyway, the xenomorph attacks Teddy. I know you probably are going to be like, actually, he has a canon name and it's something like Warrior Zero Code or something like that. But I don't know because I never said their names in the movies and I never read the graphics novels. Cut me a break. As the xenomorph is about to kill her, she kills it, making her a warrior. The queen calls her xenomorphs to her to help set her free. Predator's like, huh, not bad. So he's like, all right, I'm not going to kill her. She's unarmed and she's not a threat to me. Whatever. Let me go and find some more xenomorphs. And then she runs up to him and I wanted to slap her there and then. I like Lex, but seriously, like, you want help from this thing. You're depending on him for safety and you insult him and run up behind him like that? Is she freaking stupid?
I'm coming with you. You hit me, you ugly bitch.
She calls him an ugly creature and runs up behind him. Bitch, who the hell are you talking to? Who are you talking to right now?
Who are you talking to right now? You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am the one who knocks.
Think it through next time. She could have had a spear in her throat. I mean, she knows how Weyland died. Or maybe she doesn't, but still. Common sense left her for a quick minute there. He basically initiates her, takes the blood from the xenomorph, and takes off its head. When she asks what he's doing, he's like, shut up and watch. It's very interesting that they show that the acid blood does not affect the exterior of the xenomorph nor the interior, kind of like a dragon sort of thing. And I like the fact that they did that. The xenomorph set the queen free. I don't know, every time I've seen the queen xenomorph on screen, the feeling that came over me just seeing, my nerves were just shot. Because I can imagine something that huge barreling through a tight spot like this and heading straight for me, and they do the visual and the sound effects of it so well. And she and her friend have no idea what's coming. She ends up killing Sebastian because he's carrying one of that stuff inside of him as it starts bursting through him. The Predator was like, damn, that was cold. Why is he checking out her ass? Like, I really do wonder what would have happened if she'd gone back to their homeworld. I mean, pretty sure that she would not have been welcomed too kindly by the rest of his kind, but I wonder, you know what I mean? Or not? Okay, so we get the scene with the queen xenomorph blasting through, and even the other xenomorphs are like, make room, mommy's mad, and she will splash your head into the freaking walls without any reservation, so might want to move a little bit faster. And then she comes crashing through, she's angry at everyone. She's angry at these Yaojas because they chained her up there. Makes me wonder, though, if she could get them to set her free, why did she do that every other time? You know, but whatever. The Predator does a scan and sees that there are facehuggers all around, and he decides to nuke the whole area. The Predator and her hook on to their little mountain ascension thing. I can just imagine the adventures that they have, these two, if they were to go on being friends. Meanwhile, the dead bodies of her teammates are hanging randomly. They both made it out of there, and this is such a sweet and tender moment. He shows her his face. Look at his eyes, they're all googly, and then he tries to scare her, like, boo! You could tell he's freaking immature, because he was trying to get a reaction out of her. Didn't work. She's like, I just lost all my friends. Look at my cold dead eyes, or look at my lips. I don't know where you look, but I'm such an idiot. Anyway, he takes a little bit of venom on the xenomorph claw. He gently marks her face with his own, I thought that was his name or something, but it's probably a symbol for warrior or something. And right as they're sharing their tender moment, not knowing what the heck is going to happen next, because they're literally just staring at each other this entire time, after he bows to her, the queen wakes up and she is mad. He is not doing so well, but never fear, his friend is there to save him. Honestly, this whole scene with her running and the queen almost chomping down on her is freaking terrifying. Teddy and Lex work together so they can send the queen overboard, tying her to the water bucket, or whatever that big tower is. Unfortunately, at the last minute, Teddy is impaled by the queen. He roars at her like Kong as he was getting stepped on by Godzilla roared at him, and she is dragged down to the depths of the water. Sorry, you know I gotta do that. It's very sad, and at least she was with Teddy right before he passed away. Poor Teddy. Aww. Suddenly, all of the elders and the other Yaojas were watching the whole thing materialize and take off their invisibility cloaks, and they're like, oh no, look at our fallen warrior, what a shame, none of them survived. But if he did manage to defeat all the other xenomorphs though, I mean, he died only after he defeated the queen and all the other xenomorphs, does he still get that warrior status? Not like it matters, right? Because he's dead. Because they see the mark on her face, the elder Yaoja that has these, wow, look at those kick-ass designs on its teeth. Those were carved on there. That's actually pretty decent.
Decent!
He gives her the spear thing that retracts, and he shows her how to use it, and it's hers now. What in God's earth is she gonna do with it? Like, they make a point of it to take all their technology away so the humans don't get it, but yet you give it to one of them, you know, but whatever. Someone always gets something left behind for their efforts, at least. And now she has an honorable scar on her face. It looks very fashionable. I would get it tattooed like that. And they fly off into the sky. The plane's ass lights look like eyes. I never noticed how the ship tucks in like that. Wouldn't it be awesome or kind of funny if they just blew up Earth afterwards? Anyway, when I saw this for the first time, I was hoping that Teddy was gonna wake up and he'd be okay, but he doesn't. So yeah, and there's a nice little pred alien there now. It's hatching out of him. He's the one that got face hugged. And I was really angry with this ending because the first thing I thought was, wait a minute, don't these guys have x-ray vision? Didn't Teddy himself use his x-ray vision earlier in the scenes where they saw Sebastian hanging there? To see that he was carrying something when he was about to kill him, he looked inside and was like, oh, there's something in there. And poor Teddy, he knew that there was something in here and this woman is trying to save him and he's like, freaking females, man. He could have killed him anyway, but he's like, I'll just let her try to save him. She'll figure it out sooner or later. Teddy's an immature Yaoja. So the rest of these guys, having done this every 100 years or how many other times, we don't know that they've done it on other planets too, and other xenomorph planets, nobody has the bright idea to scan any of the bodies to make sure they're not carrying shit inside of them. You know what I mean? It's very out of character for the Yaojas. Like, you sent these teenage Yaojas, or whatever the frick they are, on this planet into an area specifically that had xenomorphs so the xenomorphs could hunt them and they could hunt the xenomorphs, right? Hunt something that's hunting you. Ironically, that is their whole motto, which was the motto in Prey as well. And he comes back and you don't check with your x-ray vision that all of you are equipped with to see if he's carrying something on your ship. It makes no sense. It really does not. It's so out of character, and the writing was just really off with that. Another thing that was off with the writing is in Alien 3, I believe, Ripley had one of those chest bursters inside of her. Remember, I did a review on that too, and the aliens, xenomorphs, did not attack her because they were aware she was carrying one of their babies. So why is it the xenomorphs were still attacking the Auja? Why is it the Queen was still attacking him when he was carrying the last known baby inside? It just makes no sense. They clearly can detect when something, another organism that they usually infect, is carrying one of their own kind. What happened to that, huh? The writing just went out the window for that too? Regardless of all of this, I still thoroughly love this movie. I know it's a hated movie by a lot of people, but I was one of the few people that loved it. I saw this before I saw any of the Predator movies, and I only recently saw the Predator movies like in the last year. I think it was only a few months ago. Like when I put up that review, that's when I saw it. So I liked it. It was freaking silly, and I always imagine myself like, what if you were friends with a xenomorph? What would it be like? That's kind of what this movie was like. The Weyland thing, please guys, can you clear that up for me? Because that was freaking confusing. The writing was just weird with this movie. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.